Good evening. Welcome to Club Live. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. As ever, it's Friday night. We are live on YouTube, so everybody please like and subscribe. It obviously is a massive help to us. It's free for you to do, and it allows you to get involved in the chat as well. So tonight, obviously, I'm Nicky. I am your host. And tonight I have Ali Pearson. Ali, how are you, mate? And how are you? How have you managed to get through a pretty quiet week by Rangers standards?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been quite quiet. Obviously, you're kind of used to playing 2 games a week. But as I said in the last podcast, I'm kind of glad to point we don't have them midweek because the performance they've been putting in of lately haven't been great to watch, Nicky. But and Sunday, unfortunately, I have a wedding on Sunday. So I'll have to miss the game on Sunday. So I'm giving my season ticket to Tommy, but I will be following it on my phone because I do see it's on Sky.
Very good, mate. Very good. That's a pity that you're missing. Or well, you could argue maybe it's not a pity that you're missing it. Actually, maybe you might get a bit better entertainment at the wedding, mate. But hey ho, hey ho. Just before we get into the agenda, we'll quickly do a plug for our live show at the Loudon Tavern. As the guys have mentioned for the last few weeks now, we will be returning to the Loudon Tavern on Friday the 31st of May for the end of season show. So this time we will hopefully be reviewing the entirety of this season. Obviously we'll be talking about the League Cup victory and hopefully we'll have some other successes to chat about as well, depending on what happens with the rest of the league campaign. And obviously the Scottish Cup final that we have to look forward to as well. So tickets are £10, and you can obviously buy it through the usual links, etc. So we look forward to seeing many of you there in a few weeks' time. So we've got a pretty packed agenda. I mean, it's been quiet from Rangers, from a Rangers perspective. We've obviously not had the midweek game. We've got a number of things we're keen to kind of cover off today. I think as part of the agenda, we'll look at the release of the One Night in May kind of feature film, which came out, I think, yesterday or the day before, I think, to mark however many years kind of anniversary it was since that 3-0 victory at Celtic Park to win the league title. We've obviously got the presser update from Kilmarnock today. There's quite a lot of things that have come off the back of that. And then, as always, we'll do a quick preview of Kelly. We'll talk about the teams and our expected scores as well. So I think in terms of the agenda, Ali, have you had a chance to watch One Night in May before I go on and dissect some of the parts of it?
No, which is very good for this podcast. It's very professional that I've not seen that.
That's absolutely fine.
Well, I don't. I will sit down and watch it. I do remember the game. Obviously, will come on there, but I was going to just bring up, Nicky, just before we get into the full podcast. Like, a lot of folk would have got an email dropped late this afternoon by Rangers for the Scottish Cup final, the dreaded Mygers, and where you are in the league table with Mygers. So most folk, if you check your inbox, you should have one. So everyone in gold obviously has a ticket, but everyone in silver from 1,510 upwards has a ticket for the cup final. You need to go on in your designated slot to get it. But I just thought I would just plug that, Nicky. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of it, but just in case it fell into your spam or something, the emails are out today for it.
Yeah, helpful, mate. Okay, so I mean, One Night in May, I think it was released yesterday or the day before to mark, somebody's correcting me, the 25-year anniversary. Obviously, is a 1 hour kind of feature film or feature video, whatever you want to call it, as a bit of a review of the 98-99 treble winning season under Dick Advocaat and probably focusing more so on the game, the 3-0 victory at Celtic Park. I think, obviously, I had a chance to watch it this afternoon. One of the benefits of being on paternity leave. So I managed to watch it. It's pretty good, by the way. So if anybody hasn't watched it, I would highly recommend it. But I think, in a nutshell, it's probably bringing together, I think, a bit of an end of era Because I think the season before, obviously, we lost out on 10 in a row. We've seen the exits of Walter. We've seen exits of people like McCoy, Loudrup, Gaza, to name a few. And then, obviously, we had the introduction of Dick Advocaat, the little general. And we've seen something we probably haven't seen a lot as Rangers fans, in terms of the movement, in terms of bodies coming in and out. This was a proper rebuild, which will obviously become apparent as we get through tonight's agenda and talk about sort of next season. But we've seen a massive rebuild. We've seen massive amounts of cash thrown around in that summer. The introduction of people like Arthur Newman, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Gabriel Amato, Andrei Kanchelskis, Rod Wallace, Neil McCann, Colin Hendry, just to name some of the bigger names. So we've seen massive amounts of cash being splashed and big names coming in. Before I go any further, any faves amongst those names, Ali, of players when you look back on them? Any faves among their time at Rangers, and particularly that season?
I did like Arthur Newman, to be fair, as a left back. I thought he was a fantastic left back for Rangers. Van Bronckhorst as well was the other one. We got Van Bronckhorst when he was at a young age as well, Van Bronckhorst. I know he moved around playing different positions later in his career. I think he played, it was a left back or something when he was with Barca. I know when he played with Arsenal and stuff. But with us, he played more in the midfield. But he was a Rolls Royce for a player, Van Bronckhorst, for me. Scored a fantastic goal against them as well. But him. And then if you want to say in terms of a Scottish player, Neil McCann for me was a proper out-and-out winger. Type of guy that I would love to see in the Rangers team now, because he would just go by players and he could put a ball in the box and he could score. He was a fantastic player for Rangers, Neil McCann. They didn't like him because he was one of them apparently, but he came round to one of us. But he was a fantastic player, Neil McCann. He was, like I say, I would like a player like Neil McCann playing on the left side of the Rangers team now.
Yeah, we're certainly missing somebody like Neil McCann. I think he's certainly one of the last kind of out-and-out wingers we've probably had, certainly one of the best, and I think we got him at a reasonable price. Neil McCann features heavily through it, as you would imagine. I think when you think about that game, it's probably quite well known as one of the Neil McCann games because of his impact on it. Ultimately scored 2 very vital goals, but he does talk a lot throughout. I think he had the option to come to Rangers in that summer. I think he rejected it at the time. I think Hearts had just beaten us in the Scottish Cup final. And again, he played very, very well. But he broke his leg shortly after rejecting us, I think. And he was almost kind of head in hands thinking, what the hell have I done here? I've turned down a massive move to Rangers. I've now broke my leg. We kind of don't know what's going to happen. But ultimately, he got his move later on that season and ultimately supported us with a league and cup double, because I think he missed the League Cup final just when that would have been played. But yeah, I mean, obviously the key part of the video is there's probably about 25-30 minutes focused particularly around the game, the 3-0 game. An unbelievable game. I think Martin Ramsey talks about it. I think he done a vote of our favourite ever, as fans, what's our favourite ever game. I think that one came second only to Barcelona. It was just mental in terms of entertainment value. If you were a neutral, right, you don't get many games like that. Obviously, McCann scored a double. Albert scored the penalty. I think Stephen Mahy is sent off. It's absolutely ludicrous how he's sent off. Rod Wallace is sent off later on. Reset is then sent off for them again late on. There's the kind of huddle celebrations. There's fans on the park. There's Dallas hit with a coin. There's fans jumping off top tiers. It was just absolutely mental. So it was quite nice to relive some of that. But again, Ali, is there any particular strong memories from that game or that particular season, mate? I think some of the football we played under Advocaat that season was just ridiculously good. Yeah,
it was the start of a new era. After obviously Rangers not winning the 10th title, that 9-in-a-row team was broken up. Advocaat was brought in, was given a lot of money. I don't see a Rangers manager getting what he got back then in terms of who he could bring in. Big players from big leagues were coming in, even players like Colin Hendry that were playing for Blackburn at the time. Players like that, bringing them in, we could pretty much bring who we wanted in at that point. It was changed days back then. But that game in particular, I think it was played at 5:30, Nicky. I'm sure it was a 5:30 kickoff or something they played it.
I think it was.
I think it might be the last time they played it because of what happened, because there's a lot of folk full of bevy. Obviously, the chance to win it at Parkhead, they did, Rangers. They obviously lost a plot, flinging themselves off the stands and stuff, and Hugh Dowell's getting hit by the coin. I mean, you could probably make a movie on it, the amount of things that happened in it. It was mental for a football match, but aye, it was a great day to be a Rangers fan that day and to win it there. It would be good if they showed the current squad, Nicky, that game there, obviously with us going to Parkhead in a couple of weeks. What can be done? But aye, it was a good day that day.
It was, and I think I guess where we're going with this is what we've seen was the kind of end of an era. We've seen Dick Advocaat come in. We've seen a kind of revolving door of players at the end of an era going out the door. We've seen a lot of players getting in, and it wasn't all rosy. I think one of the guys I just seen in the comments there, they're absolutely right. We had a bit of a shock start because I think we ended up 2 or 3-0 down to Shelbourne in one of the UEFA Cup qualifying matches.
And it wasn't played over there either because they weren't allowed in safety grounds to play. It was played was it Liverpool or something near Liverpool? Yeah,
that's right. So I think we were 3-0 down at 2 or 3-0 down at one point. I think they obviously got a bit of a dusting down by Advocaat. I think they eventually won it 5-3. But I think on that as well, we've seen, I think, opening game of the season, we get defeated, we get beat off Hearts. I think we get an absolute doing of Celtic as well, if memory serves me right. I think one of them games was the 5-1 game. Celtic gave us an absolute scalping. And then I think the 2 games at Ibrox as well, I don't think we won either of them. So it was a bit of a shaky start. But I guess what to your point, mate, we'll probably be looking at similar this summer in an ideal world in terms of numbers coming into the building. As you rightfully say, right, it's going to be nowhere near the price tags that were thrown around back then, but you're probably expecting kind of similar numbers in terms of bodies coming in and out. And obviously we would hope that they would gel as quickly as that team did, because some of the football they were playing early on, I remember the Bayer Leverkusen game. I think there was a game against Dortmund as well. We're playing just unbelievable stuff under Advocaat, and hopefully we can take that in the next season as well. Cool. Well, listen, as I say, really good watch. For anybody who's not watched it, you can get it on RTV. It's about an hour long. It is well worth a watch, celebrating, as I say, the 25th year anniversary. Cool. So, obviously, the big news today, Ali, Clement done the presser. There was quite a lot of things come out of that, mate. I think, and I wouldn't mind just delving into 2 or 3 of these individual players and maybe the update we got from Clement. I think first big thing is Connor Goldson. I think Clement has confirmed today that Connor Goldson has suffered a knee injury. He will not play for Rangers again this season. So that was obviously the first big update. He then gave updates on Barisic and Lundstrom. I think there was questions asked about Barisic and Lundstrom. I think he has probably alluded to the fact that Barisic looks as though he's away. From what I picked up from Clement's words, I don't think he said it, but it kind of sounds as though Lundstrom is maybe not going to get a new deal, and actually he may follow Barisic over to Turkey. So I wouldn't mind just touching on that as well. He also gave us updates on Cortez and Danilo. I think there was a glimmer of hope in some fans that either of those may feature before the end of the season. It looks as though, again, like Goldson, none of them will play between now and the Scottish Cup final. And then he gave quick updates just on kind of Sima, Matondo. I think it sounds as though the both of them are training individually, and there's hope that the both of them will be back before the end of the season. I think Yilmaz, it sounds as though he's now training with the group. They'll make a decision on him tomorrow. Jack, I think, is also training with the group. It sounds as though he will not be available for Sunday, but he may be able to feature again in the last kind of 3 or 4 games after that. But the general consensus is, mate, how bloody bad are our injuries at the minute? How bad is our luck as a club? What are we doing wrong?
I really don't know, Nicky. When I seen Goldson was out, And a lot of folk are saying, "Oh, it's a bit suspicious that he's been dropped, and all of a sudden he's not. He's injured now." But I trust Clement in them coming out and saying he is injured in training. But it's unbelievable, Nicky. I mean, we've been bad with injuries the previous couple of seasons, but this season in particular. And it was the first thing Clement said when he came in was about the injuries at Rangers. And since he's come in, it's probably getting worse, if you want to say. And I think he puts it down to the pre-season in terms of they weren't prepared properly, Rangers. But
yeah,
the luck we've got with injuries, Nicky, it's unbelievable. I mean, some of these guys you rhyme off, even guys like Matondo, who came back injured again. Yilmaz has a run, injured. Ryan Jack, no point talking about him. Danilo and Cortez, he did mention that 4 weeks ago there was a glimmer. I don't know why he said that, because there was no chance they were playing at the end of the season, especially Danilo. He's been out for so long, but I don't know what it is. Obviously, we're not up at training. We don't see what's going on, but there must be something, because the amount of injuries it's frightening at the moment. And every press conference, you're just waiting on who's the next one injured, and it's Goldson. And now you're going with Balogun and Suter to the end of the season. It's your centre halves, because Ben Davies I know he's on the bench now and again, but that's the two centre halves we need to go with. But it's something they'll need to look into next season.
I mean, listen, I totally agree. I think I do have a theory. I think if you look at the Rangers squad, there's a vast majority of them who have been here for a period of time now. I do wonder, is changing the manager so often in such a short period of time, and bringing in new regimes and new structures and new ways of kind of working, impacting these players. You know, I think I'd said this a few months back. Gerrard, I think, probably comes from a similar mould to Clement. I think he's very big on the kind of physical fitness aspect of things, and ensuring that the team is in peak physical condition. And we kind of seen that in the 55 season, right? We were very, very fit. You think about some of the performances in Europe, particularly away from home, that kind of blueprint of how we stay in shape, the press, etc. We then obviously transitioned into Van Bronckhorst. I think Van Bronckhorst, I don't think it's harsh to say, probably ran on a wee bit of that momentum with Gerrard. When you think about the fitness to get to the European final, we done 120 odd minutes versus Leipzig. We then done 120 minutes versus Celtic. That team was fit, but Gio, you could probably argue, is more of a technical coach, and maybe over time that kind of fitness dwindled a wee bit, and that's maybe what hurt Gio and the kind of job. You then have Michael Beale, who knows what he was doing in pre-season, right? Playing tag and two-man hunt with the team, right? I've got no idea what Beale was doing. And then obviously Clement's come in. He talks about the four pillars. A lot of it's the kind of physical aspect as well. And you're probably right, mate. He's just not had a chance to get that physicality into the legs of the players, right? He's halfway through a season. He's playing every 3 or 4 days. You don't really have that period where you can go, right, I've got 6 weeks. We're going to spend 2 or 3 weeks. We're just going to hammer everybody here, make sure they're absolute peak fitness, so that they're able to cope with the demands of, let's face it, 50 or 60 fixtures that we need to negotiate pretty much every season across 4 competitions. But listen, if we touch on a couple of the players, call me a conspiracy theorist, right? I'm not buying this Goldson thing. I know you've touched on it, right? Connor Goldson was, correct me if I'm wrong, the quickest Rangers player to hit 300 appearances, because he plays every bloody game, right? He's never injured. My theory is he's went off form big style. I think we're all aware of that. The last 4 or 5 weeks, Connor Goldson has been poor. He's been dropped. He's had a bit of a ding-dong with Clement. They've obviously not agreed, and this is a fabricated story to keep Goldson out of the team. Thoughts, would you agree? And how big a blow do you think losing Connor Goldson is, Ali? Because Suter and Balogun don't have the best injury records either, and as you say, Ben Davies is pretty much nowhere to be seen at the minute.
Oh, I like your theory, Nicky. I'd like to think Clement's not come up with that in terms of that's what's happened behind the scenes. I'd like to take him at face value and say just it has been a freak injury. I know people look at it like, obviously you've said that in terms of he's been out, he's been dropped. Has he taken the huff? Is this away? It'll be interesting summer. The summer will tell a story, because if he leaves in the summer, you could maybe look into that theory, Nicky, and go, maybe it was. I know Ryan put in our group chat today that he thinks Goldson will be there next season in terms of, because he's injured now. And he will be back for pre-season, apparently, Goldson, because he missed last season's pre-season, or most of it. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Goldson. But going with Balogun and Suter to the end of the season, Goldson,
is that a recipe for disaster with they two?
As much as Goldson's been poor, and he has been poor, I still think he's our best centre half at the moment at the club. I do think that, and I think he'll be a miss. I think if he was available, Nicky, I think he would be come back into the team against Celtic. I could see that potentially. Balogun wasn't too clever against St Mirren. So we need to go with the two of them. That's what we've got. Suter isn't clever at times either. But I mean, the whole backline needs major surgery in the summer, including Goldson. I've said I think Goldson needs moved on. But he would be a good option to have at the moment going into the last 5 games, whatever it is. And now we don't have him. We're going with Balogun. Thankfully, we don't have any midweek games apart from the Dundee game, which is at Ibrox. So you'd like to think Balogun will be all right. John Suter is what he is for me. And then you've got Ben Davies as a backup, and probably young Leon King as well. So we'll just need to see what happens, to be honest. I mean, we've coped without Goldson already, so hopefully we can continue that way.
Yeah. I probably agree with you, mate. I think I called for Goldson to be removed from the team. I think his form deserved a kind of cooling off period out the team. I don't know. I'm kind of putting 2 together, and maybe I'm getting 5 right. But Connor Goldson is very rarely injured. I just think it's a bit of coincidence that he's kind of come out the team all of a sudden. I'm a conspiracy theorist, mate. I buy into all that stuff. Yeah, I just think it maybe is a bit of a coincidence. But like you, I do, and on the flip, think it is a bit of a blow to lose Connor Goldson, because Balogun, don't get me wrong, I agree. I don't think he was brilliant at the weekend there. I think one of the things Balogun does have is recovery pace, which helped him out. I think got him out of a few sticky situations at the weekend there when maybe boys would get past him. But Suter has, touch wood, obviously been all right for the vast majority of this season. He obviously has his injury record, and Ben Davies, we just don't know. So I guess where my head is at is if we do lose one of those centre halves, it puts you in potentially a very sticky situation for going to Parkhead in just a few weeks' time. But yeah, obviously we'll see how we go with that. The other obviously 2 names that he spoke about, Ali, was Barisic and Lundstrom. Barisic, I felt as if he kind of alluded to, he's been here, he's been a great servant, he'll kind of be away. Lundstrom, he made a comment, I can't remember specifically what it was, but it almost made it sound a wee bit like him and Rangers maybe can't come to terms, potentially. Now, I don't know how much I believe in this, but I've seen some numbers thrown around of what he's demanded and what the team, Trabzonspor, I think it is, in Turkey, are willing to pay him per week. And I think it's in excess of 35 grand per week. I do not believe John Lundstrom is anywhere near worth that. So I think if he has requests and upwards of 30 grand a week, I'm not surprised that maybe Rangers can't come to an agreement. But one of the things I'd said, or I think it was in Tuesday's pod, Ali, was admittedly I think I'd been duped a wee bit by Lundstrom. I think he went through that purple patch. I think I had said at the time I would have given him a new contract, probably a 1 or 2 year deal, depending on the money that was there for him. I think you were similar, mate. Where do you stand on Lundstrom just now? Would you still be looking to sit down and do a deal, or has the last few weeks in his form put you now at the table of, actually, I think it's best that we move John Lundstrom on and we maybe bring in, somebody that's younger, somebody's a bit more dynamic, because I think what Lundstrom has is he's good over big distances. I think his recovery pace, when there's maybe a long ball and he's chasing somebody down, he's quite good. I think when he opens up his legs, he's got a bit of pace about him. But when it's kind of short and sharp and you need things moved at pace in the middle of the park, I do think you maybe find John Lundstrom wanting a wee bit. What's your views on John Lundstrom at the minute, mate? And would you be heartbroken if he walked out the door at the end of May?
I definitely wouldn't be heartbroken, I'll feel like that. I was similar to yourself, Nicky, to be honest. I said, I think about 6 weeks ago when he was going through that spell, I said I would offer him a new deal at that point. But I did say on the back of that, though, but I would wait till the end of the season to see if he can continue that form to the end of the season. And he hasn't. I think he's been quite poor the last few games, Nicky. I think he's been leggy, slowing the ball, dropping in between centre halves again, which I honestly hate when we're playing these Ross Counties and There's no need for it. So for me, Nicky, he's a player in a long list of players that we need to move on in the summer, and I agree with you, we need to invest that money in, or when I say money, wages, because he's in big wages at Ibrox, and a younger guy, energy. Because we lack energy in the middle of the park. We lack legs in the middle of the park. It pains me to say it, Nicky, but you look across the other side of the city with their three, if you want to say, and McGregor, Hattati, and O'Reilly. Legs and energy. We struggle against they three. Diomande is the type of guy. I like Diomande. Something about him. He's bright. He's alert. I think he's got legs in him. But we need a couple of other guys round about him. So, I'd be looking to move him on in the summer. Obviously, his contract's up, so he will leave for Rangers, I'd assume.
Yeah. Obviously, wish him and Barisic all the very best and whatever their next move, but I'm kind of similar to you, mate. I think we shake hands and go our separate ways in the summer. The other two players that they mentioned, Ali, that I wouldn't mind just touching on is obviously Oscar Cortez and Danilo. So if you follow Danilo on Instagram, you'll see his daily updates of his rehab. Cortez, firstly, I'm keen to get your view on this, mate, as well as the listeners. Cortez is a hard one for me. And I know we chatted about it briefly in the WhatsApp today. Ryan has his views. I think Jamie has his views as well. Cortez obviously came in on loan. I thought Cortez looked very, very good. I think with the exception of maybe the Kilmarnock away game, but I don't think anybody was brilliant in that game. But certainly the other games that Cortez plays, the 3 or 4 other games, I thought Cortez looked very, very good. But we have a bit of predicament, right? Because we are basing this off a very small sample size. He will not play again for Rangers between now and the end of the season. There's rumours of 2 or 3 million quid to bring Cortez back permanently, I believe, in the summer. Would you bring him back, mate? And I think the other thing as well is, for me, when Cortez was brought in, it was very much touted that he was a right winger. And I thought, brilliant, we'll finally address that right wing conundrum that we've had for 5 or 6 years. But he tended to play the vast majority of the time on the left side. I assume probably because of Matondo and maybe Sima been out. Where are you with Cortez, mate? Do you take the hit? Do you bring him back in on loan, or do you maybe look elsewhere? Because I think the other thing with Cortez as well is he's had quite a lengthy injury. He's a boy who's probably quite flair, quite good in accelerating, etc. How much impact does that injury have on him kind of longer term? But where would you sit on Cortez, mate, in the summer if you're given the chance to decide on his future at Rangers?
Oh, it's difficult because I like to look at Cortez, if I'm being honest. I liked him. I thought he was direct with a ball. He could shoot, could score. I liked him. He was young. I think he was 20 years of age. Came from Lons in France. But yeah, I liked him. And it was just our bloody luck, Nicky, that he got injured. Yeah. The one loan sign we bring in that looked promising and he get injured. So for me, it depends what the transfer, because he's been out for quite a while. So it depends because we need surgery in the summer, Nicky, and quite a few bodies. So if they're looking for 3-4 million for him, that's a big chunk of our transfer budget, I would imagine. If I'm Rangers, I would go back round the table with them and say, could we have him for 6 months or a season's loan deal again to buy him? That's where I would be going if I was Rangers. Try and loan him again if they will do that loans. I don't know if they would do that or they want to sell him, but I would be looking to get him in a loan deal. If they were looking for 4 million, for instance, I would probably pass, to be honest. But if we could get him on a loan deal, 100% I would take him for next season.
Yeah, I think I would agree, mate. Obviously, I don't know what his contract situation is because he's not been at loans for long, has he? I think he'd only been at loans for maybe 6 months when we got hold of him. So you've got to imagine he signed a 3 or 4 year contract. I don't know what loans paid for him, but
they paid 4 million.
I don't know if they would be open to another loan, 4 million quid. So I would need to obviously check if they're open to a loan deal or not. But I think that's probably sensible. The last player, Danilo. So I always say, if you're playing with one up top, you need 3 good strikers. You need 3 good strikers. You need 3 good options. Is my kind of view. I think if you play 2 up top, you probably want 4 options. But most teams tend to play with 1 up top at the minute. It tends to be the most common kind of formation. I've always said I think you need 3 quality options. I think we've got 3 options at the minute. Whether they're quality or not is probably up for debate. We've got Dessers, we've got Danilo, we've got Kemar Roof. Kemar Roof, I think, very much falls in the bracket of will go in the summer, and you can guarantee he'll be top goal scorer in the Championship next year and play 30 or 40 games. But he'll go out the door, mate. Where are we with strikers, right? Because did Dessers and Danilo do it for us? Do we just bring in one other striker and we go with Dessers and Danilo? I think the problem we have with Danilo is we've forked out 5 or 6 million quid, whatever the final number was for him. Again, you're working off quite a small sample size. Very unfortunate with his injury. I don't envisage there are going to be teams looking at him because of the length of time that he has been out. So you're almost kind of stuck with Danilo. If you're getting into the market in the summer, mate, are you looking for just one striker to go alongside day 2, or actually given Dessers' numbers are actually not too bad, do you look to maybe move him on, even though he maybe looks the better of the 2 between him and Danilo when you look at his availability, the numbers he's hit, but you maybe take the money because he's been in the shop window, he's kind of got a tangible return in terms of numbers, and you maybe look at bringing in 2 other strikers. Again, what's your kind of views on what we should be looking at in the summer, mate?
Danilo, he missed a hell of a lot of chance. I know folk criticised Dessers for missing chances. Danilo did the exact same. If you look back at Danilo, he wasn't convincing in front of goal. I did like him. I liked his movement. I agree we will be stuck with Danilo next season in terms of he's been out for so long. If it was me, Kemar Roof obviously leaves in the summer. So you're down to 2 strikers. I would look, and I know Dessers' numbers have been decent this season, but I would look at moving Dessers on in the summer and trying to get as much back as we can for what we paid and reinvesting in 2 strikers next season. And I want a number 1 striker. When I say number 1 striker, a guy above Danilo. Danilo's not our number 1 striker for next season. We need a guy better than him. I'd say he'd be the number 2. So that's what I'd be doing. Moving Dessers on, keeping Danilo because I think we have to keep him because nobody will touch him, and looking for a number 1 striker to come in for Rangers next season. Yeah,
I think that's sensible, mate. We have a number of predicaments, don't we, come the summer, but listen, Ali, if you want to stick up the Manscaped script, I will quickly, time to hear from our sponsors. So, Manscaped, time for a word from our sponsors. Our friends over at Manscaped have you covered from head to toe with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. This ultimate all-in-one grooming kit is set to have you looking and feeling your best in the summer sun. Trust Manscaped and unlock the confidence you need to turn heads this season. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with code CLUB@22. Let's make this summer your smoothest one yet. Embrace your summer bod goals with our all-inclusive Performance Package 5.0, perfect for those aiming for that crisp, clean and confident look. Keep your ears and nose as tidy as your hedges next door with our Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer. pesky hair, be gone. Post-trim care never felt so good with the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion. Say goodbye to painful chafing and hello to all-day comfort. For those sunny beach days, don't leave home without the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant. Let the sun see your shine, not sweat. Your purchase also comes with free Boxers 2.0 comfort and style that fit like a dream. And as I say, you get 20% off and free shipping with the code club@22 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code club@22 at manscaped.com. The summer sun is here to stay, hopefully. So trust Manscaped to keep you looking your best this summer. As I say, I have the 5.0. I've got the full kit. It is an unbelievable piece of kit. So if MD's look in the market for a new trimmer, that is top of your list. Cool. So just before we go on, I think the other thing we just wanted to chat about briefly, Ali, before we go on and chat about Kilmarnock was who do we look to move on in the summer? So obviously we've spoken a lot over the last few weeks about who's the guys. It's just a very easy, your contract's up, you're out the door, right? Barisic, Jack, Lundstrom, Roof, etc., etc., etc. We've spoke obviously very briefly about the likes of Dessers. Would summer be the right time to try and recuperate some money for him? He's kind of pushing 30. He's got a good tangible numbers in terms of goals. You could maybe get your money back. Somebody across Europe might want to look at him. Obviously, there was a few rumours circulated earlier this week that the likes of Ben Davies, I think Tom Lawrence, and maybe Kieran Dill, actually, I think were the three that apparently have been told to find new clubs. But we obviously spoke about it the other night. Butland is one of our only big assets, if you like. Who are the other big names at the minute that would be top of your list, do you think, mate, that are still tied into contract, but we should be looking to move on in the market, get some money back and reinvest in the squad? Who's the kind of top of your list at the minute, mate?
Oh, I had a guy, one of my customers in at work last week, and he was asking me, who'd you keep in the Rangers team? A similar question to what you're saying, and I was going through it going, Christ, I've been getting rid of quite a lot of players here, to be honest. If you start for the back line, Nicky, in terms of players that I genuinely think Rangers will look to move on, Ben Davies for me, as you say, I've said it a few times this podcast, I think we'll be able to get near enough most of our money back in Ben Davies. I think a championship club will come in and take him again. So I can see him moving. You go into the midfield. Well, Raskin's one for me. Not had a sniff, and I liked Raskin. If somebody come in with a decent offer, I would move him on. I really would. You look at other players, Hadji, who's been out on loan to Alaves, who's really not done anything.
I forgot all about Hadji.
I know, there's big guys like that out there. I would move him on. I'm also looking at Tom Lawrence, and I've banged a drum about Tom Lawrence, about how good a player he is, and because I've watched him for so many years, and he is a good player, but in big games for Rangers, he's not done it for me at all, Nicky. He's not done it. And I just don't think he's got it in these big games, Tom Lawrence. So he's another guy, unfortunately, I'd look to move on. Kieran Dibble, I wouldn't lose any sleep. I think he's a decent squad player, to be honest. I think he's the decent guy to be in the bench. I'd move him on as well. And then you're looking at players like Lammers, who's obviously breaking records out in Holland at the moment.
I seen he get Player of the Month as well. We might actually double our money on him, by the way.
Well, I was actually speaking to Stu at my work today, Nicky, and I was saying this is actually good for Rangers because he's playing so well out there, he should be easy for us to move on and get our money back on him. If he'd went out there and flopped, I think we'd struggle to recoup some of our money. But because he's done so well, Rangers should get their money back on him. And another one, Blue Bills are Blue are saying, which again I forgot about him, Cifuentes.
Where the hell is he?
Is he out in Brazil or something?
He's out in South America. So is this just a loan deal then? Is Cifuentes?
Yeah, but I'm sure the team he's at Ronaldo's something to do with him, and I think he's pulled money out of them or something, and it looks like they can't sign him. So he's another guy I'd be moving on. And then, as I said, Dessers as well. So there's quite a few people I'd be moving on. That's a lot of players I've just rhymed off there. Not even talking about the guys that are out of contract. So yeah, I think there'll be big changes at Ibrox in the summer.
Oh, there needs to be. Nils Coppin is going to be a very, very busy man. I think, I agree, mate. I think Raskin, for me, I like Raskin, right? I bang on about centre mids all the time. I bang on about it all the time, saying, why are we playing so defensive centre mids in games? With all due respect, Dundee at home, St Mirren at home, St Johnstone at home. Why are we playing centre mids who are so defensive? And one of the things I really liked about Raskin was, and you see it in his stats, right? His forward passing percentage is very, very high. He always looks to play forward, which I think I really like. I think one of the biggest challenges I have with Lundstrom is he goes sideways constantly. He goes safe pass. Whereas I think Raskin does try and break the lines. Ultimately, what that means is you will lose the ball probably more frequently than likes of maybe Lundstrom does. But listen, that's how you progress. That's how you get up the park. But I think for me, I always said Raskin. I felt he would be good as a 6. He doesn't seem to be preferred as the 6. He seems to be preferred as a number 8, and you've kind of got Diamonde there, and you kind of go, Raskin's not really hit the heights, has he? So it's a good shout. And yeah, I think on the other two, Lawrence and Dill. Lawrence, mate, you hit the nail on the head. Celtic have more energy than us in centre mid. Tom Lawrence just doesn't have the energy for me. Technically, he's a good footballer, but when you talk about that kind of energy, box to box, if he's wanting to play centre mid, which again, he seems to be progressing into that. I know originally he was the kind of 10, but more recently he's played in the kind of centre mid position. He's just not got the energy for me. He's not got the legs to get up and down, the kind of dynamism that we talk about. And then, yeah, Kieran Dill's probably another one that, again, looks all right. Can he bloody stay fit, though? It's just the story of the season, right? It's just another one that can he stay fit. It's another guy that you kind of add to that list, mate. So, yeah, I think the general consensus is we need to sort injuries, and we're going to have a very, very, very busy summer. We're getting players out the door, trying to convince teams to take players off our hands that will allow us to reinvest. I think, with the exception of Fabio Silva, I think certainly Cortez and Diomande look as if they've been all right in terms of what the kind of target market that Nils Coppin is looking at. So hopefully he can find a few more diamonds like them, and maybe the less said about Fabio Silva, the better, mate. So on to Sunday, an Ibrox game on Sunday, which is a bit weird. But obviously we've got Kilmarnock, 1 o'clock Sunday. Kilmarnock have got a good record against the Old Firm, by the way. I was just looking at some of the results earlier on. Obviously, they've got the 1-0 League Cup. They knocked Celtic out earlier in the season. They then had a 2-1 victory over Celtic at Kelly Park, or Rugby Park. They then had a 1-1 draw with Celtic at Parkhead as well. They've also got the 1-0 league defeat against us, right, opening game of the season as well. And to be honest, we beat them 3-1 at Ibrox. I think later on, it probably wasn't as comfortable. They gave us a hard game again. But for Sunday, mate, I know you're not going to be there, but what are you expecting, mate, from Kilmarnock and McInnes?
I think they'll be stuffy. I think they'll be organised. I mean, you look at Kilmarnock in the league, Nicky, they're in 4th, they can't make 3rd. Can I drop into 5th? It's the same at Hearts. They really have nothing to play for in terms of league positions because they've wrapped 4th place up. So they're kind of playing for probably pride. So it's a free hit for Kilmarnock. So they can come to Rangers and you see with these teams, they've got really nothing. You look at Dundee, who had nothing to play for when they played us, played with a bit of freedom, and they got joy. So I think Kilmarnock will come similar and have a go at Rangers. McInnes has got them playing well. Kilmarnock, I know he's up for manager of the season, McInnes, and probably rightfully so for what he's got out of that team, to be honest. They're hard to beat. They've done well against the Old Firm, but I'm expecting a reaction for this Rangers team, Nicky. I'm waiting for them to wake up and not try and ship a goal in the first bloody minute as they have in the last 4 league games. I'm waiting to see a bit of energy from them, a bit of desire. Just, do you want to try and win this title or at least put pressure on Celtic? Because the thing is, Celtic play Saturday, Nicky. They play Hearts on Saturday at Parkhead. I fully expect them to beat Hearts. Again, Hearts have nothing really to play for. I know Hearts had beaten them twice, but I think they'll beat Hearts. So Rangers have to win against Kilmarnock on Sunday. I have heard a lot of folks say, Nicky, though, but just want Rangers to win. I want Rangers to win, but I want Rangers to start scoring goals because, yes, we are in a league title race, but the goal difference is a big thing for me, Nicky, at the moment. Celtic's +5 at the moment. I mean, I still think the league's done, if I'm being honest. But if you look at it, if Rangers beat Kilmarnock, they beat Celtic, you go level in points, and it's down to goals at that point. So Rangers have to be looking at goals on Sunday against Kilmarnock. I know that's easier said than done against an organised Kilmarnock team, but I want to see Rangers go out, put a performance on, and score goals because they have to. Because I fully expect Celtic to score goals on Saturday. So, yes, a performance and goals I would like from Rangers. Will I see that? Probably not.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, mate. I think we talk a lot about, we take 38 1-0s, do you know what I mean, the way through a season, but you need performances to go with them, right? There's only so many games you can get by 1-0, 2-1 where you're maybe not playing well. You kind of get out of jail free these games, and those performances will eventually catch up with you, mate. And likewise, I think realistically, I go mathematically, it's still possible for Rangers to win the title. I think it will be hard. I think you're realistically needing to go to Parkhead and win, and you need somebody else to do you a favour, as well as been ultimately flawless in the last 4 fixtures that we've got, certainly in the league, mate. So if we just come on to your team and scores for Sunday, Ali, I'll allow you to go first, mate.
Team for Sunday. Butland in goal. Tav, Balogun, Suter. I think Barisic will play left back, Nicky. I don't think Yilmaz will be risked if he's got a chance to play against Celtic, so I can't see him playing. And I wouldn't play Sterling there, so Barisic plays there. Midfield, I think he will stick with Lundstrom. I would pull him out and put Sterling there if it was me, but I think he will go with Lundstrom, Diomande, Cantwell, and then your top 3. This is what I think he's going to go with, Nicky, right? I think he'll go with Fabio Silva. Now, I've said for I don't know how many times on this podcast, I cannot stand Fabio Silva. I don't want to see him in a Rangers jersey. But I think he will start with Fabio Silva. I think he'll go with Dessers through the middle. And he'll go with McCausland on the right. And I'm going to be positive because I've been quite negative in the podcast recently. But I'm going to go positive. 3-0 Rangers, a Dessers brace.
Hopefully, Jamie will be absolutely buzzing.
He will.
22, that'll be him up to 12. 22 for the season. I think it'll be 12 for Jamie since he made that prediction at the live show at the Loudon just a few months ago. But I think similar. I think he'll play Barisic as well. I think the team I'd written down was obviously Butland. I think Tav, Balogun, Suter is probably going to be those 3, right? You can't really change those. I do think Barisic will come in because, again, I spoke last week about that kind of domino effect, right? If you then have to ship Sterling in there, it kind of sets off your balance of your back 4, but you then can't play Sterling kind of further up the park. I think Lundstrom will keep his place. I think it'll be Lundstrom and Diomande. I did think, I wonder if there is an argument to bring McCausland in over Fabio. In fact, there's not even an argument, right? McCausland should be playing before Fabio Silva, right? I reckon that a couple of boys down the local park should be playing over Fabio Silva at the minute, but I don't know. I'm not convinced he'll play McCausland on the left side. I think he quite likes Sterling on the right. I think Sterling will maybe start on the right. He doesn't seem convinced by McCausland on the left. I know he made a kind of cameo on there at the weekend, but I suspect it probably will be Fabio Silva on the left-hand side. I think Cantwell will maintain his position and at the back and behind as the number 10, and then I think it'll be Dessers. I'm going similar scoreline to what we seen at Ibrox last time. I think it will be 3-1. I think we will concede a goal, unfortunately, but I think it should be comfortable. I think we should win 3-1, and I'm going Dessers to score first as well. I think there's a good chance of him getting a few more goals goals and running to have close between now and the end of the season, which always baffles me, by the way, why they hand out a top goal scorer award when there's still like 4 or 5 games left when it's so close. Aye. Cool. Listen, that was it for the agenda. Ali, was there anything else you were wanting to cover off? I'm conscious we're at about the 50-minute mark, but is there anything else before we finish up?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything, to be honest. Obviously, with 2 of us on, it's quite hard to cover a full show.
We'll drag out a quiet week.
I think we've done quite well, especially when there's not been any midweek stuff. But yeah, I just want to see what the reaction is for Rangers, because, as I say, Nicky, I fully expect Celtic to beat Hearts on Saturday. And if Celtic do beat Hearts on Saturday and they beat them comfortably 2-3-0, I don't want this Rangers team to go out and feel sorry for themselves on Sunday. Just go out and win the game and score goals and put a performance on for the fans and show that you've got something in you, because you have got something to play for. So that's what I'm looking for on Sunday. And yes, either way, I will be getting pished on Sunday anyway because I'm at a wedding. So regardless of what Rangers do.
What time's the wedding start at?
I think it starts at 2, so I'll get the first half in on my phone, and then I said to my missus,
the old phone out when they're doing the vows.
Yeah, I said that to my missus. I says, I'll have my phone out, and she's like, "Don't you dare do that." So I'll see how I go on with that.
Very good, mate. Well, listen, pleasure as always to have you on, mate.
Yeah,
cool.
No, cheers, Nicky, and you've hosted very well tonight as well. So. No, good to be here. And
I'm trying to. I can hear a bit of carnage going in the background with my 2 boys, mate. So they've been unmanned for the last 51, 52 minutes, mate. So I don't know what I'm going to get back to. But no, listen. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks everybody for your comments. Obviously, a final plug to like and subscribe to the page. Final plug as well for the live show to get your tickets in for that at the end of the month. I always just pop the details up again. So obviously tickets are £10, and if you scan the QR code, you'll be able to purchase them there. I don't know what the plans are after Kilmarnock. There will be a reaction pod. I don't think we've nailed down who exactly is going to be doing that, but there will be a reaction pod on Sunday that we'll bring to you. And that is all for tonight. So we have been Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Thanks everybody. Cheers.